He certainly, you could put him in that category, but the question is, okay, is he going to set screens? Defensively, he said he wants to get back to being an all-defensive player. Well, back is an interesting word in all of that. So, Dave, Ham is saying all of the right things about coaching Russ. I'm a big, big fan of Darvin Ham's, but what is the latest on trade talks surrounding Russ?
Well, while Darvin Ham has told Mark these plans for Russell Westbrook, and he told our friends at Showtime these plans for Russell Westbrook behind the scenes, Lakers general manager and president of pro basketball personnel, Rob Pelinka, has been making phone calls to teams about trying to trade Russell Westbrook out of town. Now, the latest intelligence I have is that things have not moved in terms of the Brooklyn front. There is no traction on a deal that would involve sending Russell Westbrook out and bringing Kyrie or Irving in. One thing I have learned over the last day or two, tangentially, that there has been some talks re-engaged between the Lakers and the Indiana Pacers. Now, that would center around a Buddy Hield deal and could be a deal that would include Russell Westbrook if you're talking about also having Miles Turner in that deal. Or perhaps it could be a secondary move where you would be talking about, Taylor Horton-Tucker type of package to try to get Buddy Hield.
Interesting.
And so we could see whether that would.
When I say Russell Westbrook, Perk, what do you say?
Lesser role is what I think. When I think of Russell Westbrook, I think of, losing himself in the team. And I'm listening to what Mark said, and he said, Darvin Ham is saying he has a plan, and Darvin Ham is supporting Russell Westbrook. Darvin Ham's supposed to do that. Darvin Ham's supposed to support Russ in case the Lakers have to bring him back to let him know, I got your back. And then I heard what Dave said. Dave said behind the scenes, Rob Pelinka is actually still out there making phone calls and looking for trades that might include Russell Westbrook, which is for the betterment of the team, is what Rob Pelinka's supposed to do. But again, I go back and I'm going to state this. Russell Westbrook has to make sure he holds Russell Westbrook accountable. If you're going to have Darvin Ham go out on the limb and say that he supports you 100%, Russell Westbrook has to do the same. Russell Westbrook has to make sure that he's in the gym with Phil Handy, who's one of the best player development coaches around. Russell Westbrook has to make sure he's getting extra shots up. Russell Westbrook has to make sure he's actually doing his part on the defensive end, fighting to get up over screens, sprinting back in transition to get back on defense. Russell Westbrook has to hold Russell Westbrook accountable. And last year, what I saw out of Russell Westbrook was a lot of finger pointing.
Up and down seemed to be a theme for the Lakers sort of throughout last year's season. But when it came to this All the Smoke podcast, Russell Westbrook wasn't the only player that Darvin Ham was asked about. He was also asked about Anthony Davis. Take a listen to this.
When he's healthy, like he was in 2020 in that bubble run, he's top 5 in the league.
No
Easy.
question.
Top 3. This is not going to work without AD. No disrespect to Bron, no disrespect to Russ. They're going to be who they are.
Right.
Like, Bron is going to continue to be great. Russ is going to have a much, much better season. But AD, having AD available, it's going to be invaluable. And he's the centerpiece to that championship table that we're trying to build.
Okay, so I don't think it's a particularly hot take to say that the Lakers go as Anthony Davis goes. Yes, LeBron James needs to be exceptional, but we've seen LeBron James be exceptional and still they fall short of their goals, versus when he was in the conversation for should it be LeBron or should it be AD for finals MVP, they win a championship. So, Perk, let's start with you here. Anthony Davis, is he a top 3 player when he's healthy?
Absolutely. Absolutely he is. We all can agree that Anthony Davis is a top 5 talent right now and healthy. Look, Anthony Davis healthy. I actually have Anthony Davis picked as my MVP winner for next season. Wow. Early prediction. I think Anthony Davis is going to come back with something to prove. Anthony Davis has been waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning, getting in workouts, going 3-a-days. Anthony Davis looks in phenomenal shape. Anthony Davis has been hearing all the noise, all the chatter. Just remember, 2 years ago, we were actually having a conversation about who would we rather, Giannis Antetokounmpo or Anthony Davis. That's how elite Anthony Davis was on both ends of the floor. So when I think about Anthony Davis, in my opinion, one of the most skilled big man to ever play the game of basketball. It's nothing that he doesn't have in his arsenal offensively on the offensive end. So when I look at Anthony Davis and I look at a Darvin Ham, a coach that's going to put a key in his back, I look at Rasheed Wallace being over there as an assistant coach, I got...
The New York Knicks. Just 8 days ago, they made it official. They signed guard Jalen Brunson to a 4-year, $104 million contract. And last season with the Mavs, remember, Brunson averaged just over 16 points, 4 assists per game. He looks to bolster a Knicks team that missed the playoffs last season. They went 37-45. And Brunson spoke at a Knicks fan event yesterday.
I'm excited. I'm very excited. It's like a whirlwind of emotions for me. It's a lot. It's a lot. This building is very special. It brings everything full circle. I remember seeing a couple of these guys in the locker room when I was a kid, and it's crazy to see them here right now. I don't want to say it's emotional, but it brings back a lot of memories, and it makes me feel like I'm supposed to be here, and I'm just very excited to get things going.
So potentially joining Mr. Brunson on the Knicks, it could be Donovan Mitchell. Who knows, right? Jazz star who has not, by the way, publicly demanded a trade, taking his talents to a gym in New York City. He did that to the backboard. Looks like they are needing to adjust that a little bit. To reiterate, though, to be very clear, Donovan has not demanded a trade from Utah, but as our Adrian Wojnarowski reported, teams, including the Knicks, are trying to engage the Jazz in talks for the star guard. Of course, I said a fan event yesterday for Jalen Brunson because there were no reporters who were invited or allowed to be in there, which is absolutely ridiculous. Yes. And so Jalen Brunson could not be asked about the potential for who else he likes to see around him or who he would like to see be on this roster for the start of the season because there was no media there to hold those folks accountable. So I guess I'll start with you here, Dave.
But listen, hold on, Malika,
wait a second.
Malika, hold on.
Hang on.
Isn't that the Knick thing?
That is the Knicks thing. It doesn't make it an acceptable thing.
Yeah. Very unacceptable.
But Dave, I'm going to put that over here for a second. Who has more leverage between those two teams when we're talking about Utah or New York?
I'd say the Jazz do because, first of all, they've already started the rebuild process. And guess what? The ultimate goal for Danny Ainge and company is not to win next year. So you have Donovan Mitchell around pieces that don't necessarily fit and you don't win, you're still going towards Victor Wembanyama. That's what they're breaking this thing down for in order to try to get him as the prize. And guess what? You know who's going to be applying pressure to the Knicks? Knicks fans and the tabloid newspapers. It's going to be a daily drama. We want to get Donovan Mitchell in town, especially if the Knicks don't get off to a great start. And also, you think about the Tom Thibodeau and Leon Rose era. Yeah. They had that flash in the pan success when Julius Randle was Sixth Man of the Year. Last year was an abject disaster. They had to start proving that they can get things done once again. The guy who can help them get things done